All right, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Not sure where Jen is, but this is a special one. So this is some of the ladies of ORaaT, and I know I've been joking around, but I did not get bullied into this. I doing this by choice. I want to share some of their journey and a different perspective on real estate on what they're doing. So right now we got Katie, Sarah, and Lindsay. So good morning, everyone.
Good
Morning.
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 Yeah, so maybe Katie, real quick, kind of maybe give a quick where you're at and I guess what's your focus or what you're doing in real estate or even on the social media side.
Well, actually, we are closing today. We're selling our first fix and flip, and then the person who is buying our flip, we are buying their house. So we're closing on everything today. Finally, and it's been we were supposed to close back in January. So we are really anxious to get this done.
And where was this again? You said?
In Ponca, Oklahoma,
Okay. Okay, cool.
Ponca City. Yeah.
And then
So
we
that's
have
what's going on.
Sarah Garrett, who was a speaker at the ORaaT event. So, Sarah, maybe, I mean, I'm sure people are kind of familiar with your story, but maybe quickly recap on where you're at and I guess what you're doing in real estate.
Hello. So I'm Sarah Garrett. I've actually just been buying houses since I was probably 22 and I joined the Army. So I just bought a house every time the Army moved me. And I'm actually probably on the down slope maybe of my journey where we've got almost all of our rentals paid off. And I'm kind of just deciding whether or not I want to purchase more once we're done with everything that we've bought and hold, or held. For about 18 years now, I think it's been. So I'm just trying to figure out whether or not I want to buy more. So that's just kind of where we're at.
All right, and we also tease Sarah that she's Sarah Goggins, so she's bringing all the energy this morning. And we also have Lindsay here, who if I'll put her YouTube channel in the chat, but she also has a YouTube channel. And Lindsay is doing us a favor. She's skipping the out of state investing call on the school site. So if you can multitask, maybe you can open up both sides to show support on both sides. But Lindsay, quick backstory on where you're at and what you're investing in.
Yeah, so I live in Los Angeles and I invest out of state in Indiana. And the market of Gary, I know to the community it's pretty well known. Today, actually, I'm closing on my number 10 BSLR Finance. So I'm excited about that.
All
Awesome.
right. So
Awesome.
as you see, a lot of cool stuff going on here and a bunch of ladies. And so they kind of, been telling me that there's maybe too much testosterone on my channel or just a lot of male perspective. So they kind of wanted to share their journey and kind of maybe fill in like that ladies can do this and it's not just a men's world out there. So maybe Sarah, you can start it. What's the struggles you found maybe being a lady or female and kind of any challenges that you see different?
I mean, I could say that about my whole life just because the fact that I was a soldier. Say I was actually usually only the ever only I was always only the only woman that ever worked with guys. So I was always in a world of my own. But I think when it comes to investing, I think it's weird sometimes because the fact that like some people just don't take you seriously. And so that part to me is kind of odd. I think another challenge that I don't really have it personally for myself, but a challenge that I find when I'm dealing with other women, like I try to encourage anyone that I possibly can find, no matter girl, boy, doesn't matter, that owning your own business, or in this case it's real estate, which is the business. It's a way to set yourself free, whether it's free from a 9 to 5, free to be able for me to be able to mother my 5 kids, free from just the whole system dealing with tax codes and things like this. And so the challenge that I find is that there's a lot of women that think they can't do it without a husband, and I find that very, very bothersome. So I was a single mother actually with 2 children that I had out of high school. I had 3 kids in high school, but lost one and had two. Still finished high school, still finished multiple degrees, and bought real estate my entire journey in the Army. and I started it by myself. My husband actually, I wouldn't say I would have had to convince him because the math made sense to a guy easier than it did a woman. So it was too easy for him to get on board. But I bought my first home, one out of foreclosure as a single mother with two children, and I was only 22, I think, at the time. And so for me, I find myself frustrated when I'm talking to other women to try to help them understand like they can be free. And like the first thing that they go to is like, well, you were only able to do that because you had a husband, not realizing that I started this with by myself. Like not even did I not have a husband, but I was a single mother with two kids at 22 years old. And so for me, that's the mindset I wish people could overcome, is that not only can you be a woman and do it, but like you don't have to have a husband or a boyfriend or whatever to be able to do it. So
So, Lindsay, I know you're not married, but your boyfriend did attend the event with you, and it doesn't seem he's as much on the real estate journey as you are. So, what is that struggle for you folks, or how does that work?
He didn't attend the event. He was in Vegas, but he did not attend the event. He was in Vegas,
Yeah,
not in
yes,
go
yes.
figure.
Florida. No, so when I met him, we've been together for 2 years. I already was investing. I already own my primary. I already have two rental properties. And my intention or my conversation with him was always like, I'm going to continue investing in real estate and other things as well, like the stock market, like I mentioned before. So he kind of was introduced to everything all at once. And I think he's just trying to catch up.
All right, Jen, are you here?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay,
Okay.
so just letting you know your camera's not on. I don't know if that's the plan or you're just audio right now, but
Oh, yeah, I'm just driving. I'm trying to find a parking space.
oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure everything was good. But yes,
Yeah.
you're on. Just let you know everyone can hear you, so don't say anything mean to me. But
I'll wait
yeah,
for after the show. I'll wait for after.
I already blamed you for Lindsay skipping out on the out of state investing call
Oh,
with
that's okay.
so before with Jen, Katie, I know you're for you, it's a little bit different also too, right? I mean, I think you're involved in the but it's not as Rusty's probably more primarily, right?
Right. Rusty so that's my husband, and he about 2 years ago, he just decided to get into this. It just seemed like on a whim to me. And prior to us being together, we had each owned our own rental, and we hadn't had positive experiences with them. And just to make a long story short, and so when he started wanting to get back into real estate, I was a little bit apprehensive, like, we've each done this and we haven't had a positive experience. And so it's taken me longer to get on board. He's been studying for 2 years. That's all we talk about. That's all we do. And getting me to, I support him, and, but I haven't had like the energy I wanted to, or that is needed for, I think, us to work together on this. But going to the conference, I got completely pumped up and I was super excited. But I did find more women in relationships that were similar to me, that were hesitant and that were kind of in the backdrop and not sure. And we were sitting on that fence. And so I related to a lot of that. And I wanted to kind of have this call to be like, how do I push myself over so I'm fully on board? And I would say, since we went to Vegas, I've really increased, my thoughts, my energy, what I'm learning, and I'm more interested in it now than I was before. So that's good. But that's kind of where we're at. And we have as of today, we'll have 3 properties, but 4 doors. So
Was this flip the one I think you said you're closing on? Is that the one that it lost square footage? Is that the one
mhm,
you're okay?
yeah, we
Yeah.
are learning, and Rusty and I have the special talent for learning everything like the hard way, especially when it comes to this. We've learned, like, we felt already going into it from our previous rentals that we had learned so many hard lessons that way, that when we walked into this, we were like, okay, well, we already know everything. So And then we quickly learned, oh, we don't know everything. So we keep learning lessons after lessons after lessons. So, and it felt good to hear other people relate to that when we had our last phone call with Ray. That, you know, we're not alone in that boat, because you hear people get up on stage and they're powerful and they have a lot of energy and they're like, oh, we're doing this, and within a year we were making all this money, and within a year, 2 years we were doing this, and we're retired in 5 years, and we're kind of like, okay, we're just waiting for that to kind of hit for us. When's that going to happen? But then it's like, oh, boom, this needs a new roof, and oh, boom, you lost a tenant, and now so we're learning a lot of things along the way and what not to do and how to do things better. So that's probably a good thing, because I'm like, once it all streamlines, we're going to be gravy.
So Katie, Frank is here, old guy REI. He says Katie should give Rusty another 3-year extension.
He's got till, I told him, you have until December 31st, 2029. I said, and then after that, I said, if it's not flowing, but he's got until then to convince me to give him more of an extension. So before it was like 2027 or something, I can't remember. So I've got him a little bit longer. He's like, okay, thank you.
Well, I'm glad the event seemed to have
Frank,
helped.
I hear you're my neighbor, so can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, so Frank also, I think you know, but Jen folks are having a meetup. So I think Rusty said hopefully Frank's going to be able to make it. We got Flavio, who's coming here from Lindsay's channel, looks like. She says, it looks like Flavio says Gary is getting popular. So thanks for stopping by. And Jen needs no introduction. She's now on camera. Everyone knows who Jen is. She's a big part of the community, always helping Zuber, helping the front desk. But Jen, you're pretty active, you and Kenny, right, on the real estate side. It's not just Kenny. It's almost like as opposite. You are one of those couples that it's a little bit opposite, where you're trying to push forward and Kenny's always telling you, like, let's slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're lucky in a sense that we both are into real estate. I think it just took us a while to understand that we could be in it, right? I think a decade ago, or even more than that, we always thought you had to be really rich, especially where we live in like the Bay Area, California, right? So we never thought that it was even within reach. It was always thinking, climb the corporate ladder, work and make more money, and then save a down payment for like another house, right? I don't think we ever thought we could get more than our primary, and then like if we push it a little bit, maybe just an extra one, and then that would be it, right? So I think we always felt like it wasn't within our grasp, but I think for us, we always thought we were both interested in it. So I think getting into this journey with each other it has been a little bit easier. Personally for us, I think the tipping point for us was around like COVID, when like the whole world was shut down. Kenny and I actually worked at the same company, and what triggered it for us is that we thought that we would both be laid off. And at that point, we had 2 little girls. I think it was like 9 months and like 2.5 or 3 or something like that. And so we got worried about, getting groceries for them and getting like fresh milk for them. So I think that changed our mindset. It forced us, right? And we thought, like, if we both got laid off, if it was just me and Kenny, we could go back to our college days and eat ramen and spam all day. But with 2 little ones, there was just like no way. So that forced us to just change our mindset and think of a way of, if we got laid off, like, what do we do? And Kenny and I dabbled in stocks for a little bit because we thought that was the way. And then we just thought about real estate as well to diversify and started looking at that. That's kind of how we started. I got like weed stocks because I thought penny weed stocks would, take me to the moon, and that changed really fast. And my $500 became zero overnight. And Kenny thought I was ridiculous, but we were really like trying to figure out like the way. And then we found Zuber. But so for us, it's a little bit easier. Like right now, Katie, I would say that I feel like it's gotten Kenny and I a lot closer as far as making our relationship stronger. But, I used to watch a lot of, Real Housewives of every county. And he used to be playing, he would get along with Dion because I think he was playing WoW a lot and, playing whatever, Diablo, whatever, so we were kind of like in our own zone. And I think real estate has really brought us together, right? Because we can talk about it. We see like where it's going to lead us. We see why we're doing it, right? For our girls. And things like that. So I personally feel, I don't know if he feels the same, quite honestly. Why is Mark smiling? But I feel like it's brought us closer. And he like, and we've both found our lanes. I think that's another thing I wanted to mention. Like, we're both introverts. I don't know if you could tell, but I, I, I feel like I keep on bringing him deals or no deals, whatever they are, but because I keep on talking to people and I want to meet people and learn more. And he's really the numbers guy and he likes that side of things. So we've both found our lane and I feel like it's brought us closer together because we have this united kind of thing, working for a better future for ourselves and for our kids. Yeah. So what was your
Uh,
question, Mark? I forgot. I just rambled.
Well, like I said, I don't know how much I'm going to get to speak on this live, but I was laughing because Carrie's here from BRRRRs. So go check out their YouTube channel. I put their link. They're trying to build a channel also. But Carrie says she's secretly listening while her students are taking a geometry test. So that's why I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at you, Jen. But Rusty said, ORaaT community gives us confidence, power in networking. And I also was laughing though because Jen, what did you say? If anything, you guys would eat ramen and did you say ramen and rice or what did you?
Spam.
Oh,
Ramen and spam. We used to do
Okay,
that in college, like for 5 days, and it was no big deal, right? But
yeah.
you can't
And
do
then
that with little kids. So
but then Sarah's was what beans and rice. You guys were talking on stage, or
Hey,
that's their
that's
fallback
yeah.
option, right?
well,
So
that's for me. For me, my husband struggles. So he comes from a little bit better life than I did. I grew up very poor. He grew up a normal life.
okay. Let's see. Maybe Sarah, you can discuss. Maybe. Do you think women approach investing differently than men?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you an example even just with myself. So like my husband's actually very, very hands off in all this. He just understands the math of it. And so like our strategy has been very different than like most of your guys' stories. Because I did grow up poor, I never wanted to experience scarcity ever again. So when I was buying houses, like so every time the army would move us, which is about every 30 months, we'd buy another house, right? We can buy anywhere from a fourplex down. That's back through VA, right? Because the military requires our primary residence to change every 30 months. Like my husband's getting ready to move now, but I'll stay this time. And so for me, I wasn't like, hey, I need to, because we both knew we were going to stay in the army till retirement because of the stability. We have insurance for the rest of our lives. Our housing's covered the whole time we're in the army. So that was something we knew up front. We weren't trying to get out of essentially our 9 to 5. And so my whole thing's like, let's just accumulate, 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 and let's make double, triple, however much payments a month we could make, right? And so for us, like I said, we've just been paying down, paying down, paying down, and then I'm like, okay, the math says once we get to this place, we can just start paying cash for our houses, like pay cash, and if we want to accumulate more, going into our 40s, we can, but we don't really have to. And so for me, like I said, it's just it's been a little different of a journey for us. It wasn't necessarily like I need cash flow right now because again, we were going to stay in the army. The army's got everything that we need. So for us, that's I guess the main difference with me with most people, or most investors. I think it's at least from what I hear talking to people, like our story is just different in that it's like I didn't need an extra $500 a month in cash flow, and even when I had that on properties, I dumped it right to the mortgage. So I never, and we just lived off of one of our incomes and then dumped everything else on mortgages, and so here we are.
All right, so Lindsay and Jen, just letting you know, old guy REI has a beef with you folks, maybe, but he says he respects the ladies. They're doing great things. There's so much knowledge to share, but he also says he's always trying to attend the ladies of ORaaT Zoom, but they haven't let me in yet. And I feel the same way. So, Lindsay, you can reply to Frank, but maybe you can also answer Chester's question here. He kind of touches on what things would each of the ladies think would be factors that would convince fellow ladies to get started, and conversely, what could prevent, slow down, or stop other ladies from getting started?
First of all, Frank, nobody said you cannot attend the Ladies of ORaaT Zoom calls. I believe Randy attended this week. So everybody's welcome
That's
just
not what
because
I've been told.
who said?
Nah, Jen.
I think it was a Mark exception, not a boys exception.
So, Mark, I think with his question, was just going back to what you originally asked me, was about like our ladies approach it differently. So my point why I said that whole story was that for me, I have like I feel like women, we are kind of maybe we look further down the road than men do maybe, and we anticipate every, at least for me, I anticipate every possible like outcome. Okay, like for example, the roof could cave in, like, and I think some of that's army, that's like worst case scenario, what could happen, the roof falls in and like, blah blah blah. So that's why my strategy has been a lot more conservative. We probably could have 10 more properties right now, but I've chose not to, because I would rather have all my units paid off first, like latest. I mean, obviously the foundation's there, but to where I feel like the foundation is like really reinforced. And to me, there's less risk. Even I'm kind of like the lazy landlord in some aspects. Like to me, it's like I can have, and I talked to a guy who's DM me back and forth on school since I left, and he was telling me I feel like I'm so behind, and I said don't feel like that. Sometimes when I listen to people like, oh, I have 20 doors, yeah, but I'm sure that the 5 or 7 that I've got, or whatever, depending on your math, is making more money because I just chose to pay mine off, right? So I was explaining to him that it's about your risk tolerance. And I know for me, because I grew up so poor, I never wanted to experience being poor again. And it's also helped me be able to live. I wouldn't even, I'd say frugal, but like I still am able to go to Disney World a couple times a year or whatever, because that's what I value. And then like pay for private school because that's what I value. But there's other things in my life, like I don't mind living in a house well below my means, but just having nice things in the house, right? And so for me, my, like I said, that's my risk tolerance. And I think women, I think we think a little bit more. Like ahead, like I said, because we have babies, right? And so we plan for worst case scenario for everything, where men are like step A to step B. And I think sometimes that even what's I can't see on my thing, the other lady in the top right hand corner, that may be what some of your struggles even are, of like trusting the process, because even as women, we normally deal with all the chaos that kind of comes, whether it's with our kids or our husbands or whatever it might be. And so I think that might be why she's even more afraid, because at the end of the day, she may deal with more of the chaos. And whereas like men, it's just from A to B, but we think A, B, C, through, D, all the way to the end of the alphabet. And so again, for me, I've just chose to take less risk, and not have to have all these doors or whatever for me. So,
I'll keep my comments to myself on this one, but
oh,
not. No,
sorry.
no. So Lindsay, what is your feelings on that, or what are the struggles you see, ladies
I
in real
think I
estate?
definitely agree with Sarah's. Like, I consider myself a more conservative investor. And when she's talking about having the challenges, I see A problem, B problem coming in, C problem coming in, D problem coming in. So when I invest, I have to consider that everything's going to fail. And if
Yes.
everything's going to fail, then I have to pun up the money. Like, for example, right now, all of my income would cover all of the mortgages if all of them stop paying. So for me, that's a safety net. Like if like let's say God, the world and there's another pandemic, everybody goes into stopping paying rent. I can still do it by myself. So therefore, I have a sense of safety, and then obviously I have cash reserves and everything like that. And those are things that you learn when you start doing investing. You learn to save money for repairs. You learn to save money for maintenance. You learn to save money for capital expenditures. And if you don't learn, real estate will teach you. It will happen. You have to know, like, what once you fail, you'll learn. But
So
thankfully,
true.
we have this community of people that are all about education and informing each other. Like, this is what happened to me. Somebody stole my title. You didn't even think about something else, like somebody putting a link on your title. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to think about that. Anyways, add it to the list. But that's all of the things that go through your mind as well. And I am like risk averse, like Sarah is. Not as much as Sarah is, I think, 'cause she has all her properties paid off. But
It's like I don't want to be poor ever again.
but I do come from the same background of like living in a scarcity, living knowing if my like if I don't budget correctly today, I might not eat tomorrow. So that if it's in the back of my mind for sure, but I'm the kind of person that I need to see the numbers for something to make sense. So if you're more involved in that area, Katie, like that would make you a little more comfortable, I would say. Like if you have enough profit in your buy box, then the risk is less, right? So
He's coming
Eh,
out for support.
yes,
Hello.
Rusty. Yeah. Let's take this channel back over. No. So Katie, to that point, I know I kind of I messaged you on Instagram about getting this thing set up and things, and it and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems as if maybe you feel you overthink things sometimes or
Oh,
overanalyze.
I totally agree with Sarah and Lindsay. I think about every scenario that can go wrong. I've, always been a worrier, and I think life experience just has, the more you do of it, the more you know. And like these ladies, I've gone through my own experiences where there was a loss of a house, a lot of debt, having to move a lot, having two small kids, being unsure. So I feel like there was a point in my life when Rusty and I got together that he got me, and I was really in debt. I had just lost a house. I had gone through a really bad divorce. And I felt that scarcity mindset that like I didn't know if things would ever be okay again. And it took us what felt like a really long time. We moved, I think I moved 4 times, he moved 3 times, just trying to get where we are now. Like, I think I told you I had my cleaning business. He changed careers. We were doing everything to just kind of scrape by with the kids. I was still staying home with them. I was homeschooling one, involved in schools, but working when I could, just to try to fill all these pockets. And so trying to go into this and then saying, okay, we're going to put so much of our lives and so much of our finances into this. To me, I'm like, okay, like Lindsay, like where are our backups if everything goes wrong? We worked so hard to get here that I'm scared to be putting it all in on something else because I want to keep what we've worked so hard for. And so that's where my power struggle internally goes, is just working towards not getting like, okay, everything's going to be okay. And I know Rusty, he came out and like gave me that little, he's like, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Yeah.
If you don't mind me before Miss Jen talks, I just want to say to you, ma'am, you just sharing that little bit of your story, you have every reason to be afraid. You do. And it's not like it's your fears are very realistic. So I think that maybe even you just accepting that those fears are very realistic. Like you've had a hard time, you've been there with the kids at home, which is that's a whole nother thing. And so for me, I think you just accepting the fact that like, hey, these fears are valid, they're very very valid, and then you just work a plan to help mitigate those fears. So for me, what it was I lived on a mattress in a subsidized apartment with 2 kids. So what I was easy for me to do, and even my husband, it was easy for him to do too, is like, let's just live off of one income and we'll buy a house, we'll live in it, own or occupy it first, put a tenant in it. And even for like the lady above was saying, same thing for me. If none of our tenants paid at all for the next 20 whatever years, right?
Mhm.
We have our income set where because we pay for the mortgages out of our military incomes, right? And that's why I said I've been more conservative. So when the tenants pay, it's just a double payment, right? And so for us, I just developed a strategy because again, my fears of scarcity and growing up poor, it's not like you're delusional. It's real for you because it has happened before, right? And I
Right.
think you just accepting that and working up, making a plan to work around those fears or to mitigate those fears, I think you guys will be very successful because you've got so much knowledge inside of you that I don't even think you realize. That literally puts you ahead of other people that may just be starting out. There's wisdom that you have from those losses. So
Oh,
that's all.
thank you so much. It really, that means a lot to me to hear that. I appreciate it. I'm like close to tears. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. I can't really see. I'm like
She
the
does
sun's
Yeah.
that. See,
shine. I'm sorry.
no,
I'm sorry, Jen, to cut you off, but I just wanted to tell you that. Like it's
Thank you
it's it's
so
it's
much.
completely normal. Hugs from Georgia.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that can,
Yeah.
thank you.
all right, Jen, you had anything to say on that?
I
No.
don't even remember what the question was, but
Sorry.
I'll just start talking because I could do that. I was gonna say for me, I think I could take risks. I think Kenny's actually the more conservative one, right? That's thinking like long term, and I'm just like go go go. I think the question is like what stops people. For me personally, it's just because I didn't know. Like I didn't
Mhm,
know what
mhm.
I don't know, and I think that's why I feel so. See, I feel like Lindsay's really impressive to me because she's doing it on her own, right? Like a lot of my friends that are like single, I don't even think it's like on top of their mind. They don't even know about it, right? So I feel like the knowledge and not knowing what you don't know, I think, being in the community with a lot of women, that will motivate you, right? So I think that's important. I think for me, why didn't I get started? Because I actually didn't know. I was really focused on proving myself in the corporate world because I thought that's
Mm,
what will make you, and I just didn't know there was another way to get there, or think about my future. I thought just climb the corporate ladder, do what you're supposed to, go to school, get a good job, and have a family, make money, and that's what success meant. So I think for me, I just didn't know. And I think being in the room, meeting other women, either doing it on their own, or with a husband or a partner, but just getting in that community to motivate you, I think that's really important. In real estate, you see with the ORaaT event, it was a lot of men. And I have 4 brothers, so nothing about that. But it's just different. It's just completely different. So when Zuber talked about having like a like accountability group with women only, I was like, oh my god, that's great, because nothing about the men again. But when you're in a room with other women that are focused on the same thing, why are you smiling? I don't understand. It's just different, and it's a place where you feel comfortable, where you can feel vulnerable. So I feel like having that is important, right? Just knowing that it could be possible, whether you're doing it by yourself or with a partner. Yeah, so I forgot the question, but I hope I answered it somehow.
Yeah, you answered something. I'm sure. But it was all helpful information. Like I said, I mean, you're always it's motivating. I mean, it's great what you folks are doing. But like you said, Lindsay, she's kind of doing it on her own. She's maybe a little bit different out of the rest of you on this panel. But maybe like Lindsay, could you touch on maybe do you think women are better at certain aspects of real estate? Maybe.
I cannot
It's
speak for
all.
all
No, I'm
women.
kidding.
right, right,
Whoa,
right,
that was
right, right.
quick. Can I mute
I
you
can
real
speak for
fast?
myself and the people that are around me. That I do think that at least the people that I know are more detail oriented for sure and less impulsive. I would say
Mm,
that. Like, I'm not, I know, not to put you on the spot, Mark, but you did buy 14 houses, like liquidated all your retirement accounts and bought 14 houses in the first year or something like that, right? And then for me, uh, that would be putting all my eggs in one basket and
mhm,
then just
mhm.
like not gambling because that was a smart investment, but it's just too drastic. So for me, it would be like just moving a little bit slower, learning. And
Yep.
it's a whole new language, real estate. So learning a new language, learning to network, which it's the first year I'm trying to network, and then all of that just it's I guess women are more and less of the impulsive side, if I'm
Yeah,
not.
I agree with her 100%. I think we're more because even just hearing all of us, like Jen, everyone here, right? Because we are I think even me being in the army with all men is and going to war with them is really what taught me how differently that men and women think. Like it was like real world, the worst of the worst experience because I'd be trying to like, let's be diplomatic and go talk to these people real quick. And they'd be like, are you crazy? You're gonna get us killed, right? I'm like, because I was just, kind of thinking ahead before crazy stuff happened. But I think for us, it definitely is, we're more conservative because I'm with her. I would never do that ever, Mark. And if I was your wife, you'd probably be on the front porch, and with all your crap out on the lawn. And so I've noticed too, like with the school platform, and then even like through the thread that we have or whatever, I think with the WhatsApp or whatever, some of the stuff I'm like, I wake up sometimes at night and I'm like, I'll read some stuff, but I don't have time to reply because I'm trying to sleep. And like my heart will just thump like, these guys are crazy. Like I could never, ever, ever do that. Like, like she just said, it's like if ever no one paid today, like I look at that. No one's gonna pay for the next 12 months or for the whole time that until we get these houses paid off, which is why I did have that strategy, but I feel like now my husband, like, he still drives like a 25-year-old car and he's been in the army for like 22 years. So he's like, how much more longer? I'm like, baby, like, if Matthew will stop eating all of our food, we've got like 36 to 48 months and we're done, and we can just pay cash after if we want, right? We've both got beautiful retirements from the army that we'll have till we die. So we don't necessarily need more, houses, or to scale up to commercial because we've thought about that. But yeah, we plan a little bit ahead. I think Jen, for you, because you've got the four brothers, they definitely contributed to you being more risk of taker or whatever. I had two brothers and they got me to jump off garages and stuff when I was a kid. So that could have, contributed to Jen being more of a risk taker. But it helps when you have that spouse to balance that out too. You can do great things together. So
Well, if you guys haven't seen, Cody's here. He also says these ladies are killing it. Congrats to all of you. So,
oh.
so Cody was in Vegas. I think Sarah, you might remember
Oh,
him.
Cody's
A
the one that's
big
built like
Cody,
my son,
yes,
big guy.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
yeah.
Cody.
I'm not sure if your son can use chopsticks, but we ate
He
ramen, and Cody. That was the funniest time, was Cody trying to eat noodles with chopsticks. So,
No, my kids can. So we lived in Hawaii, so they got
oh,
used
that's
to a lot
right.
of the culture. Yeah, yeah. So they wouldn't go down there and whatever. But yeah, so yeah, he can. I've actually been talking about Cody ever since I've been home. So I'm like, I saw this big guy in Vegas, man, and like I didn't realize how big my son was till I looked at Cody, because my son and Cody are the same size, but my son's only 14. So yeah, Cody's been talked about here in Savannah for the last 3-4 weeks or whatever it's been.
Let's see, Katie. Maybe what was I looking at? How important is networking for female investors? Have you found female mentorship or support groups helpful?
Well, I didn't know there was a female ORaaT. Rusty's part of ORaaT, and I just am like his tag along. So I didn't realize that. And I would say just being in on these calls with him, and when we went to Vegas, that's where I noticed there were so many males that was a part of it. And so that's where I was reached out to you, and I was like, hey, I want to see like a female panel. I didn't know I'd be on it. Rusty was the one texting
Oh.
you saying, oh yeah, I'll be on it. He was saying that for me. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say that. And he goes, I said, why is he reaching out to me? But he's like, yeah, no, I told him you'd do it. And so I was like, okay, but I just wanted to hear more of a female perspective, because since I'm Rusty's doing more of it and I'm on the side, I just felt like I didn't have a lot to contribute to like a conversation like this. But the networking for me, the community part of it is huge, because like I said, I left Vegas and I found myself wanting to be more of a part of it and wanting to be a better partner to Rusty and being more supportive and how I could support him. So for me, I think networking is basically where it's at. But finding that in-person community and doing like these online events, that's a good thing, because you can read and be by yourself and get so far, but having a community around you to support and volley ideas around is great.
Yeah, well, see, Rusty knew you were gonna do it. He knew you had it in you, so that's why he reached out to me.
Yeah,
But
he's volunteering me for a lot these days. I'm
well, I think that's where Jen and Lindsay are doing good things, right? Like they're trying to build that Ladies of ORaaT, and I always joke about not being allowed in on Wednesday, but I know it's more for you folks to try to build this home community. So yeah, I'm just joking about actually trying to attend. I know it's kind
I
of
haven't
weird.
even been able to go yet. I haven't. I'm always busy on Wednesdays, so I haven't gotten logged on yet.
So maybe, yeah, maybe Lindsay and Jen, you can kind of promote that or talk about. Do you guys only talk about real estate in there? What I mean, like what goes on in this Zoom calls or accountability group on Wednesdays?
We would
A
never
lot of
tell.
stuff, a lot of juicy stuff. Yeah, we can't say. Yeah,
You have to
but
come.
it's been, yeah, it's been hard. Like juggling everything, quite frankly. Yeah, it's been a real struggle, and I should promote it, but I'm not a social media person,
Yeah.
so I don't know if we have a lot of traction on that. But it's just a nice, safe space if people want to come. We talk about everything, Mark, but yeah, we can't mention it here in this
No, that's
live,
fine. I mean,
unfortunately.
I don't know. Maybe there, yeah, maybe there's females that are trying to figure out is it for them or what else is it
No,
only?
I'm joking. I'm joking. Amelia records it and posts it on
Uh,
school. I'm joking. So I mean, we'll talk about everything. We'll talk about real estate. What else do we talk about, Lindsay?
We talk about
Mostly
deals,
real estate. Yeah,
insurances,
loans. Yeah,
lenders,
financing.
how
Yeah.
to access seller finance, how to make your, like Jen had a realtor, how to encourage your realtors to keep sending you deals. Because a lot of us are putting disrespectful offers, right? So that's also, it's been a challenge. And then Katie, I saw your interview with Mark last time, and I want to say that you are supporting your husband. Like you're staying at home.
Yeah.
I believe you're taking care of your husband's father too, and you doing all those things. If he didn't have that, what kind of support system would he have? Like,
Yep.
and I want
Uh,
to
Thank
give
you.
you like definitely encouragement, but like because you don't even have to do all of those things, like be involved on real estate or anything
Yep.
like that. But you're wanting to is just what make it's going to make your team succeed, you and him.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead,
yeah,
Katie.
I just wanted to say thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Lindsay makes an excellent point. Like one thing I love about my husband is he did grow up with a stay-at-home mom. His dad's in the Air Force or whatever. And so my husband actually has been the person that taught me to put value on myself because I didn't have a stay-at-home mom growing up. My mother was the breadwinner in our family. My dad was a war veteran. He obviously had his VA, but my mom was the one I saw go outside the house. And my husband at times will like write down stuff that hey, Sarah did after school care for our three kids that are still at home. And he'll write down for me what that costs per week for after school care, what it costs per week for before school care, what it costs to go on Instacart to order groceries, have someone pick them up and deliver them for you. And like he's taught me my value in that. And so I feel like you and my husband actually talking could be so helpful. Because I mean, he tells everybody, nah, I just go to work. And if I need to have 5 jobs to buy more houses, I will, because I don't have to deal with like my wife handles the stuff. And there's so much that like she's good at this and I'm good at just working. Like my husband loves to work, right? Which I think is a little crazy, but he loves to work. And so and same thing. I just did 2 years of taxes for his dad, my father-in-law. It took me a week because he had all this chaos. And literally my husband's like the time and then the value of which you'd pay a CPA to do that stuff for you. Like my wife did that for my dad. So he'll write down the value of that. And so for me, that's help. Like I said, putting things into perspective and just kind of reframing it for yourself. Like I said, you've got valid fears, and what Lindsay said, like you're contributing a lot because if someone had to pay for that stuff, like my husband will tell you, I can't afford on my salary what my wife does for this family. Not to mention, he doesn't know anything about our properties at all, like none. He's just like, where do I need to sign next? I'll go look. He always looks at stuff for like, well, I don't like those countertops. This is not for you, honey. Like, just that's not what we're here for, right? They should do this and that. That's not why we're here. We're here for tenants, like what tenants would live in, honey. And he's like, okay, but yeah, for sure. Like you're contributing a lot to your household. And like I said, if you just start putting a cost on elderly care, most people can't afford that. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
um you should just be encouraged, girl. Be encouraged.
Well, thanks. I appreciate this. It's really nice. And I saw Rusty just post something, and I know he's always telling me like, there's so much value in what you do. And I think it's hard though. At least I struggle, and I don't know if other stay-at-home spouses, parents do. But when you don't attach a dollar value to what you do, you're not bringing that in. There is like almost there is not that validation that like, hey, what I did came with something. It's like you end up seeing the results later in life. And like now the kids are almost all grown, and so
Well, Katie, if you need me to text you every Monday at 04 in the morning, a list of, you can just send me on a school message of just tell me real quick what I can envision, because I'm a stay at home mom,
yeah.
myself, or whatever now. But if you need me to text you every morning at 04 with the dollar amount, with the tasks you did for going to be doing for the week, no problem. Just for the reminder, because you need to just be encouraged. I wish
All
I could get me a stay at home wife for me.
Well, I told Rusty the other night, I said, this is the one thing I could use help with because I'm trying to get him this. I was cooking the other night and I told him, like, when you retire, I'm done. I don't want to cook anymore. I want takeout and I'm done. And he goes, no. He's like, when I retire, I get to enjoy your cooking more. And I'm like, no, no. I'm like, I am so done. I'm like, I've been cooking for 25 years. And then I figured it out. I'm like, between when your dad lived with us, the kids in sports, the kids in school. I'm like, I said, just today, I've been in the kitchen since 4 p.m. and Ethan doesn't get home till 10:30 tonight. And then I want to make sure I'm having dinner with him and hanging out with him. Like, so I've been in the kitchen like almost 6.5 hours. I am like, this has been going on 12 years. I'm done.
Right,
I
right,
said,
right.
I'm in the kitchen for 5-6 hours a night. So, but he said no. So tell him that's where I need support. Katie can
Miss
retire
Katie.
from the
All
kitchen.
right, all right, all right. Let's get to some of these comments real quick because let's see. Carrie from Parent says, I agree. As a psychology major, men and women's brains work differently.
Yeah.
I know I learn best from like-minded women because they think like I do. I'm thankful for the ladies of ORaaT. So there you folks go. You guys are helping a lot of
Awesome.
people out there.
Awesome.
And Frank, who is paired, looks like from Lindsay's channel. But so we tried to get Cynthia on, and I know no way she was going to come on camera. So unfortunately, one day we'll get her on maybe. But Frank says Cynthia has always been my rock. She can see the power of what we're trying to do. She's helped keep us in the game even after we lost everything the first time. I tried and went through bankruptcy. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
And then Rusty says, so Katie is my rock for sure. Couldn't do any of this without her. And he also wants to remind everyone that, where is it? He can't afford her salary.
I heard that. Like,
Oh,
mm,
Yeah, I was going to say that I think taking care of like kids at home, being a mom is like the hardest job.
yep.
And then, I have elderly parents now, my brother is taking care of them, and that's super hard as well. And to have that comfort of being having an elderly person being taken care of by somebody, I mean, that's priceless, right? So I think that's a big deal. But I did want to say that if you were interested in real estate, right, and helping, or just for yourself, because you never know what spark that'll start, right? Find out what you like, right, and be part of that. So like if you like talking to people and you're remodeling the house,
Mhm.
right, talking to the handyman, or if you like designing the space or something like that, right? So I would say, I think what you've been doing and what you are doing is so important, right? And that's such a big deal, like all the other ladies said. But if you did want to be interested in it and you wanted to find a way, I would say find what you are interested normally and see how you can, be part of that in the real estate journey. I think that would be a good start. And you never know, you might love it and be a rock star at it, right? And that's another pivot point or something that's interesting to you. Or you might want to take a back seat and just be happy with what you are and support him in other ways, right? But I think that's really important as well. So I wanted to mention that.
thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. So maybe, Lindsay, could you maybe talk on have you ever felt underestimated or dismissed in a real estate deal because you're a woman?
All the time. I started going to meetups last year, and There was one incident, like very early on, like on my second meetup, and like somebody just got in my face, started yelling, and I was just like, okay, like we're gonna move away from this before it escalates or whatever. But yeah, I'm even talking to realtors initially. They just assume that I don't know anything about the market, and that might be right. I don't know anything about the market, but just talking down to is not how you're gonna get me to learn or teach me. So it's just, I guess, a thing that comes with being a woman. Like getting contractors in my house to do any work. I definitely been told like I cannot do any contracts with you until your husband is home, and I'm like, there's no husband, so
Oh wow.
this
Right,
it,
right, right.
this
Gosh.
it. So yes, all the time. It just comes with the territory, and that's why it's different for women. And that's just my experience. I'm sure everybody else has had their own experience, but
Do you think
Lindsay,
like the contractors try to overcharge you sometimes, like
yeah,
because
all the
you're
time. Yeah,
I've dealt with that. Yes, I have.
100%.
Lindsay, I have a question for you or Jen. Have you guys ever dealt with like when people ask you, like for example, for me, I'm out of the army, I'm retired, but so my full time work is managing my managers for all of our properties, right? And so people are like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, my kid sometimes like she's a stay at home mom, and then other people are like, no, she runs a whole company, and so I'll be like, I'm a real estate investor, and what I always get is, oh, so you're an agent, so you sell houses, and I get so offended. And I'm like, that's kind of like I'm not girly enough for that. I tell you, that's a piece of crap. That's a piece of crap. So have you guys ever gotten that? Like people think that you're a real estate agent instead?
Not the agent part, but definitely anything adjacent, but the one that buys and holds the property.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. What about you, Jen?
They think I'm lost. They think I'm lost. They're like, did you mean to go to the other meetup? But no, I haven't gone that. I work in high tech, so I've dealt with men all my
Okay.
life, all
Yep.
my
Yep.
career, and I felt out of place all the time. So I haven't dealt with that, but I feel like they're not as welcoming. So if I'm at a meetup, they'll tend to go to like other men and start discussions. Like they won't come to me.
Okay.
So I felt that a lot, but not with ORaaT. See, that's the thing,
Okay.
not with
Yep.
ORaaT. So
Yep.
like
Yep.
at the event, right? It's just been so different. But other events I've been to, they don't seem interested to talk to me at
Yep.
all.
Nope. I
And
gotcha.
then when I do go up and talk with them, it's really short and they kind of like move on, right? So I've seen and experienced that, but never an agent. They probably think I'm lost.
Okay. Oh gosh. Oh boy.
all right. Maybe let's start with Katie here. You guys can all chime in too. But so seems like you and Rusty after the event have kind of refocused and kind of on the same page a little bit more. But is there anything? Hey, where'd the question go? Shoot. Crud. Where did it go? How can you maybe become better allies or in the industry for women in real estate and investing and getting on the same page? Is there anything like Rusty? I mean, could have done better maybe.
For me,
Yeah,
or
to help maybe bring
uh,
you on board quicker or earlier in your guys' journey or
n- no, I don't think so. He's It's hard to say because he's already like super great. He's like pretty fantastic. Um, I think it's my own fears and what I've been through, and the lack of res- so just a little background is Rusty, we live in the same community that Rusty was pretty much born and raised. His friends and family are here. I do not live near my family. I moved separately. So when we got together, I was saying I had a whole bunch of debt. I had lost a house. My family wasn't here. I didn't really have a community. So we have different backgrounds as far as that goes. I forgot your question. What were you saying? Well, I forgot the question.
I'm just just
Oh,
kind of
could
being
he
better
help?
allies
Could he
or
help
yeah.
me? No, he couldn't. I don't think he could have helped me because I've been dealing with like, I think all the emotions of that going into this again from my previous experiences of rentals that like, that didn't go well. So it's, he's been babying me to go along, but it's still that fear of the what if everything goes wrong? What if we lose every single tenant? What if what if you lost your job? What if this happened? What if this happened? And so it's more learning to be stronger and feel like everything will be okay. We're setting up the safety nets everywhere. What I'm trying to say, I don't think is coming out very good.
Oh, you're saying Rusty is amazing and he couldn't do
is,
anything
he
different.
is. He
That's what I'm
couldn't.
picking up.
He is amazing. He couldn't have done any more. It's me. It's my own insecurities that I have to work through, and he can't help me any more than he already is and does.
Yeah, Katie, I wouldn't even say. I mean, I wouldn't. I think insecurities is kind of like a negative way to think about that. Like your fears are like 2000% warranted, like literally. I mean, and I think that you really need to like think about that. Like it's okay. Like the fears that you have are absolutely okay considering all that you've been through. So I don't think that they're irrational fears at all whatsoever, but you just have to develop a plan of how. Okay, so I have this rational fear, right? Because I have lost everything, right? How do I mitigate this rational fear that I have so that way it doesn't go into the area of you thinking irrationally about that fear. And I
Right.
think that maybe you've never just thought about that. Like your fears are 2000% warranted. Just like Lindsay said, she comes from scarcity too. Like I said, people all the time is, you and your husband make this much money and you guys drive old paid for cars. People think
Right.
we're crazy. They think we're absolutely crazy. But I'm like, when you've had two kids on a mattress on the floor in a Section 8 apartment trying to just finish college, right?
Mm-hmm.
No help from the dad or whatever, like you're willing to sacrifice. Same way like Lindsay could probably go scale up and do more too, but she's choosing not to because she experienced scarcity as well. So your scarcity might have come, maybe later in life. I was born into scarcity, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe yours could have been as the result of maybe choices you made as an adult. Who knows? It doesn't really necessarily matter, but I think you really need to put that into perspective and understand like these are real fears. And even like you're saying, like you would only have to go through what you're going through again right now to actually come out of that to where you can kind of ease up a little bit. Sometimes I get scared to go spend 3,000-4,000 bucks for a weekend up in Charleston or something because I think it's going to make me poor. So I've had to like go talk to a life coach, be like, are you crazy? And I'm like, well, what if I need to put that on this house that can get paid off? And she's like, Sarah, show me your numbers again. She's like, and I've had to get help with that to get rid of
Yeah.
that irrational fear. So it's completely normal what you're dealing with, hun. Like completely.
Oh, thanks. Well,
Yeah, sorry.
no, I'm really appreciating it. I didn't know it would turn into like a group therapy session for me.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Thank you.
I was
well,
gonna.
I didn't
Rusty
put
says.
everybody in the spot like that. So
Yep,
thank you, though.
Oh,
Rusty says Katie has
I
put a
was.
lot of trust in me with our investing.
yeah, that's probably hard. Like that's hard.
Yeah, but it,
I want to. I want to. Oh, sorry. I was gonna. What was I gonna say? I forgot. Oh, I was going to say, as long as you take like, you know, calculated risks,
Yep.
right? Because they'll always be there and mistakes will always happen. But I think as long as you have a safety net, that's really important. And just take everything like as a learning lesson. Like I still make mistakes, and I know I will. I think it comes with the territory with anything that you try new,
Yep.
right? And just have that safety net there and take every mistake or anything that happens as a learning lesson. I got like ripped off by a contractor and it really upset me. And I'm part of the 5 years stuck right now, which a lot of things are just not happening the way it should or I wanted to, but I'm just taking it all in and as a learning lesson. And I was gonna say, Sarah, you should like go around America speaking
yeah,
to like young
She's
girls.
Sarah
No,
Oh, now
serious.
I'm
Goggins.
gonna cry. I'm really gonna
Sarah
cry. Don't.
Goggins.
No, you would change lives. Like I feel like anytime I have a problem now, I know who to go
Oh,
to for free,
thank
hopefully.
you.
But like you should go around America
To me? Are you
talking
gonna
to like
come to me?
young little girls because you would pump them so much and
You
they would
would.
like take over the world like Pinky
Thank
in the
you.
Brain. But like yeah, you should do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I wanted to
Thank you,
say.
Jen. I appreciate like, and I've told people before, like, cause I don't, I mean, I'm gonna say I don't have a life anymore, but I've accomplished what I want to do, and that's all I really do want to do is like give back, and I just want people to be free, especially financially, because I was told my whole life it had to be this politician in office or this had to happen in order to be successful, and I never really believed it. I would always question it, and then even when I got pregnant at 16, it was like your world's gonna end. You're never gonna graduate high school. You don't even think about college. And I'm like, yeah, watch me, right? Watch me. Went to grad. The only reason why I don't have a PhD is because of the fact that I don't want to spend the money on it. Like literally. And I did that with little kids, you know what I mean? And so it's like I feel like everyone it just gets lied to and they're irrational fears, right? That literally just aren't true. It's no way it could ever really happen, you know? But when you've got rational fears like Miss Katie does, like you just gotta figure out how to I mean, I was afraid I'd fail with the little baby at 16. Like, how am I going to finish high school? But someone made a comment on here earlier about what fear meant. About it was a little acronym, and that couldn't be better said. Like, that's exactly what I had to do. Is like I just didn't know things, so I had to figure out and learn as much as I could to get me over the hump of the fear. Like the first time I went and spent 3 or 4 grand to go to Charleston for like a weekend with my family, and I came back like, they're like, I still have the money to pay all the mortgages, right? But I had to step out in faith in order to be able to do that. And then I just put things in place to mitigate those fears, right? And so, Katie, like I said, you've got real fears, and I appreciate that, Jen.
Yeah, so what Sarah was referring to was Carrie from Parents. She said, "But what if you succeed? Fear is a natural response to the unknown. False evidence appearing real." And then we got Big Andy stopping by. So Andy says, "Fear doesn't stop death; it stops life."
Mm. And then even Katie, you seeing those like so for her, like Katie actually has evidence though that this failed before, right? But Katie, I think what you need to do is I think you really need to just think and search, maybe journal and like realize you have so much wisdom from what you went through. Like I would love the wisdom, right? Don't look at it as something negative. You bring a lot to the table to help other investors. Like even like, talking to my husband, I think y'all could have like energy going back and forth to help one another. I mean, you've helped me today to be a better wife, believe it or not.
Oh,
And yeah, you have, and because I now understand certain things that maybe my husband might think or whatever, right? And so, but yeah, it's just helping each other.
oh, thanks, Sarah, so much. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And
So I
also,
don't know. Oh, go ahead.
you can have backup plans. I don't know if like financial literacy education is also appropriate here. Like when I started investing, before I started investing, I concentrated on emergency funds. So I
Mm.
have emergency funds for myself. Like this is just me, my own experience, but 6 months I could go without income, without even having to reach into anything else. So like I'll give myself 6 months of like I could get another job. Let's say I break my legs and I have to go to therapy and then I can produce income. Then I have that cushion of like I'll never touch it until an emergency comes, like the roof comes in my house or I lose a job or something. That's my cushion number one. Then for the cushion number two is the cash reserves for the rentals. So maybe get comfortable with a number that would make you like, okay, well now I reach $20,000, $30,000. I think for Jen is $100,000. So before you go scaling for more properties, that's your cushion number two. And then I have another cushion just for like fun. Like let's say I want to go on a vacation and I want to sacrifice that. If I put $100 on my emergency fund every month, then I put $20 on a bucket for vacation because I don't want to compromise that too. And then use the rest for investing. Like all of those things would make you a little more comfortable. Like, okay, if everything else fails, then I have this, then I have that, then I have that. So
Excellent.
All right, so
Excellent.
we're at about an hour now. I'm free, so but if any of you do have to hop off, just feel free to hop off. And but I did want to touch on kind of Frank's comment here, and I don't know if you folks remember. I think Olivia was talking about it at the event, kind of right about you know the ladies understanding like the finances and let's say something was to happen to your husband or whatnot, but you having an understanding about money and not being kind of reliant on someone else. And I know I see it vice versa too. So like, in the Asian community a lot, like the wife or the spouse is, she's the one that does the cooking, the cleaning. And a lot of times, they might pass away earlier, and then the husband is there. Like he has no idea how to turn on the microwave. He has no idea how to do laundry. And so I think it kind of even relates to like finances and getting your folks self in better position. So like Frank says, Sarah, one of the biggest things I'm trying to do with our portfolio is make sure Cynthia knows how everything runs. If something happens to me, have you given that any consideration for your husband?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I forgot about that question. Yes, I have. So actually, when we lived in Seattle, like probably 7, 8 years ago, I actually hired a professional organizer to come in to help me. And so she flies here sometimes to Georgia to help me as well. So I actually have all of our properties and all the documents, all the different things, repairs that go on, whatever. It's all in a binder for each of our properties. And so that's what I've gotten in all of our incomes from all those properties goes into one central account that, like, if he wants to, he can go look at everything, but he just likes to work. So everything is nice and organized. I think that's something that helped us along the road too. Was like my mom actually was a bookkeeper. She had a business degree and things. So my mom, and she did taxes when I was a kid, so she taught me. Matter of fact, that's probably where I got all this from, was from her to begin with, because she would do taxes for people with real estate and would fuss about it. And I'm like, well, why have we never done this when I became an adult, right? Because she taught me how to do everything, right? And so for me, I keep everything. Each property is in a binder. It's like it's an army system that we use in the army actually. And so I just move that over, and then the professional organizer comes in once a year, maybe twice a year, and then just keeps everything in order for me. So.
Nice. Is that something, Katie, maybe after the event too, you and Rusty kind of discussed or talked about? Like, so if something unfortunately was to happen to him, you'd have a understanding of the finances and the portfolio side?
Well, it's kind of a conversation I've been having with him for the past couple of years, because he is the one that works, he is the breadwinner, and he does handle our finances and the investments. And so I'm like, if something happens to you, I'm I'm screwed. I don't know how we pay anything, where we pay anything. And so it's kind of an open conversation that I think is starting to get handled a little bit more, but it's it's definitely a fear to go, like, if something happens, I would have no idea where to start. We did start last year by getting our trust in place, though. We went and met with an attorney and got everything settled, so at least we have that piece done, which I had been nervous wanting that done for a while, because I'm like, I don't want to have to deal if something happens to you, to like probate and all those things. So that's the first piece we got done. And after that, I think it's just a work in progress with us both. He's letting me in a little bit more and go from there. But that's it for now.
All right. So Jen, Olivia said something like that, right? I mean, don't correct me if I'm wrong, or I think I heard her say something like that, right? At that when she spoke.
Yeah, she
About like the women being independent and
Yeah.
knowing the finances. Yeah, I think at the end,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
the first
Okay. I wasn't
where she
hearing
spoke.
things
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what?
She
No,
did
no.
say that.
But
She
she
said
mentioned that.
men make sure
It's
that
important.
your
Yeah.
wife can take care of herself, is what
Yeah.
she had said.
Yes.
Yep. Mhm.
And I think I agree with that 100%. And until probably this, I at least like paid all the bills. I knew everything, I knew where everything went. And this is the first time I think I've handed everything over and not been involved. So that's a piece of it too, is where you don't have the control of over anything, where I just feel like everything's kind of out there and taken care of. And I'm kind of need to be a little bit more of a part of that. So I need to be a little more assertive in learning that too. So
So Jen, you and Kenny must be pretty good on that part, no?
No.
That was a quick
No. I mean,
no.
we have a living trust, but the finances, the bookkeeping, he's taking care of. Um, I'm just like hanging by a thread on most days with everything that's going on with my regular life, with the job and stuff and the kids. So no, no. I mean that's one thing I wanted to learn from him, like the finances, but he's taking care of that. So we do have a living trust set up, like Katie. but all the payments and things that happen with the rentals, that part I don't know. I just talk a lot and and then he just says no. And it's hard. I don't know if people have issues with this, but I think there's like even a joke about it, right? It's hard to learn from him. Like he starts talking and then I get bored. And then I just want to like, okay, he always says, and then he knows photography a little bit. So I tell him to teach me photography. He's like, no, I've tried to teach you for like a decade. He's like, hire somebody because you cannot learn from me. So that's also one struggle. I
Oh.
think they did it. I think they did a bit on that on Modern Family of how like the husband was trying to teach the wife how to use a remote control and she couldn't learn and it had to go through the daughter. So he's like, I'm gonna have our daughter teach you about finances. So he's moved on from teaching me and focused on my daughter to teach me instead. But that's important because we talk about it. Like now we're getting older. We talk about like how if something were to happen, we're both kind of screwed because we both have our lanes and what we think we're strong at. So yeah, we still have to figure that out. And that's also another reason why I want to get stuff documented, just so that we remember stuff and we know things and we can share with each other and our kids. But yeah, definitely still a struggle there. Yeah.
So, hi, Esther. Thanks for tuning in. I think this is a jab at Lindsay and Jen, but she says, missed a great out of state meeting this morning. But, Esther, I'm glad you were able to tune in and thanks for stopping by here. But Trade Better has a great question. He says, what are you doing to pass your knowledge to the next generation in real estate? So, Lindsay, do
You
you have a lot of other females reaching out to you to start investing or get their finances together?
Um, I gravitate towards women a lot. So every time I do go to meetups, I like to talk to a lot of other females or investors investing, but also in the Aura community, I try to attend to the ladies Zoom on Wednesdays. I try to support. I do have a YouTube channel in which I break down all my deals and all the things I've been learning. So that's my, I guess, way of passing down information to the next generation. And my family, I try to get my sister and my niece to invest with me. So that's in the works. Hopefully, they'll follow along.
Hold on, I'm trying to put your channel in the chat.
Yes,
But
I was getting ready to ask that, Mark, if you could please post her link because I'm not friends with you on there. I don't have a YouTube channel, but I do like to listen to all you guys.
Don't judge us, Neil. Okay, don't come for me.
Oh no. Oh god. I'm driving now, FYI, just so I have my camera off.
okay, no, yeah, no problem. I mean, like I said, if anyone
Yeah.
does have to hop off, feel free. Jen, what about you? What do how are you trying to pass it down to your kids?
I
Your
also
knowledge.
I also want to record these videos, these YouTube videos, and save it for the girls. I have two little ones, so it'd be nice to. So we're still struggling with that. We're trying to teach the older one. She's 7. Trying to like get her more involved. So we'll take her to open houses, and she'll see us on Zillow looking and ask us what's going on. So we tell her like we like to buy houses, and she's probably telling her friends that in second grade. But still working on that, but
Oh.
I think it's really important. That's what I really want to do for them because I didn't have that growing up and how our lives could have changed if we just had that guidance. So definitely want to teach them without like just handing it to them. I think that's really important as well. We want them to be hardworking, well-rounded people. So to understand finances early, but not just hand them everything and make them work for it. So I think trying to get that YouTube set up, not necessarily to have a channel, but just to have a way of having that and sharing with them when we're ready. But we're trying to figure that out still. Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, looks like you got a new subscriber from Rusty, so
Thank you,
that helped.
Oh.
Rusty.
Yeah. So Katie, your folks' kids are a little bit older though, right?
Yeah, I have two sons. One's 17 and one's 22. And so Rusty and I have been having the conversation with them both just about real estate and the power of it. And it's just an ongoing conversation. But they're at the age where they kind of know everything. So they're not especially listening to us right now. So we're just kind of keeping that conversation going. And they are definitely learning and interested. I would say our oldest son, he's 22, and his girlfriend is actually probably more interested than we are. And we talked with her the other night. She called us and she was asking us questions about it. And she's a nurse. She's graduating from nursing school, and my son's in nursing school. But she was like, I had a patient and she was like 92 and she looked so great. And I asked her what she did, and she said she was in real estate her whole life. And she's like, so she's interested in that. And they're talking about, like, maybe when they get a house, we're talking to them about house hacking and doing more things. So just an open conversation that keeps going, and hopefully we can inspire them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, you to your kids, right? You're trying to incorporate
Oh
this
yeah.
mindset and everything with them also.
Yeah, absolutely. So our kids are 1,000% aware of every aspect of all of this. One advantage slash disadvantage my husband and I have has that we've never until now lived near families. So we've lived all over the world with, we've got 5 kids. So we've got 25 all the way down to a 5-year-old. And then we've also got 2 grandsons now as well. And so unfortunately, for us during the times of we were both in the army together, they move us all the time. So my kids have had to go in and out of thousands and thousands and thousands of homes when we lived abroad in Europe, when we lived in Hawaii. So they've gotten to go and even see how the different ways that construction is done with different homes all around the world, like how it is in Europe, how it is in different countries in Europe. Because I love real estate, so we'd go in and look at the architecture. If I was driving by, even just a new property that was being built, I get out and my kids all think I'm crazy. Like, mom just walks up to whatever job site, because I did construction in the army actually. And so I'm like, hey, can I take a look around? And so I've taught my kids literally since they were babies, all of them, they've gone in and out of homes with us. They understand even like the difference in quality of construction. So I intend, because our foundation is laid for them to really build a lot of wealth. Because I mean, my husband and I intend off only living off of one of our incomes even in retirement, because we're very fortunate, and just blessed, honestly. And so for us, our kids do understand all of that. And so, like, my daughter, she goes in and out of, even if I'm not wanting to buy right now, like, I'll just stop at whatever random house that there's construction or a new development or whatever, and we'll go in and we talk. And they've walked through stuff since they were, I mean, in baby carriers. And so they do. So at times, like, we live near, not a couple hours away from a few of our properties now where we live at. And so I'll go and I'll drive and I'll show them. And I've got pictures of all of our properties as well. And I'll show the kids, like, hey, this is what mom and dad own, right? And because they all know that we're sacrificing to hurt and get the last of these mortgages paid off. And so they've been able to go and see all of our houses. And like I said, I've got pictures of everything for them, of our properties, and they do understand how the income is made. Not now, my 14-year-old son, he's, again, being a boy, he's a little bit more of a risk taker. Like, why don't you and dad get a whole apartment building and start doing that? Like, there's all this equity, because he does get all that stuff, like the deep math of it. He's very intelligent. And so I'm like, no. And he's like, mom's just a scaredy cat. So, and I'm like, no, you'll thank me when I'm older for being this scaredy cat, son. So my kids, all of them are very, very aware. I'm hoping that a couple of them will be willing to kind of go into the industry a bit. Like, I think I shared with you guys at ORaaT that we potentially will have there's family land that's actually all paid for, but I'm willing to actually buy out the family members. It's aired land, and actually develop it. So I'm hoping that one of my kids actually will go into the construction field, the builder, land developing, things like that. So that way we can keep it all in the family. And I hope to be able to build to rent homes on this land actually. So we'll see.
Yeah, Esther says that's great, Sarah. I take my daughter to open houses, investing,
Yes.
help build her apartment. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, like I said, this was a fun one. I mean, like, this I think this turned out really well. Good questions. Anything else you guys want to wrap it up with? I mean, doesn't have
You
to be
guys
real
want to
estate. Can be
wrap it
anything
up with? I
funny.
mean, doesn't have to be real estate. Can be anything funny.
I wanted to say something. I'm driving now. Let me see if I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear you,
Somebody might
Jen.
Can
have
you hear me,
somebody. I
Mark?
don't know. I'm hearing a. Yeah, I can
Somebody
hear you,
might have
but
somebody. I
somebody's
don't know. I'm hearing a.
volume is
Yeah, I can
on. I
hear
can
you,
hear
but
background
somebody's
noise, I think.
volume is on. I can hear.
Do you guys hear background
It's
noise?
you. I hear you as background noise.
Yeah, but it sounds like somebody's audio is kicking back in. Not anymore, I think. Okay, good. There.
All
Okay,
right,
Jen.
I can hear you.
Okay, Jen, you there? You want to say something? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
oh,
but I think I have the background noise. I think that's
Oh,
me.
it's gone now.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
gone
hear it
now.
anymore, Jen.
Are you
Go
still
ahead.
there, Jen?
Yeah, Jen, if you're there, you can say what you want.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, sorry, I was going to say that one of the struggles I have with two younger kids is how to balance like sacrifice and then also like giving them the experience and things like that. Because I know Harrison has a little girl, so I was just going to say what Zuber said. I think because that was a question and a struggle, right? Because Kenny's like, oh, sacrifice, sacrifice, don't spend, they'll thank us later. But then they're young, right? So you want to give them experiences. So I was going to say that Zuber mentioned a really good tip, and I wanted to share it with the community. And he basically said, like, make them understand, like, still take them on experiences, but make them understand where that money's coming from, right? So, like, if you take them
Yes.
to Disneyland, let them know. So we did that with our older one. Like, this is from the rentals. This is from us saving and buying a home and renting it out. And this is the money that's from it. So you got these experiences because of this journey, and what we're doing. So that's what he said. I wanted to mention that because we were talking about kids. Like, give them the experiences, but make them understand where it's coming from. And that would be more meaningful. That's all I wanted to say.
Just letting you guys know, Harrison said need this group on again. So just you guys
Yes.
did
Oh, thanks,
well.
Harrison.
You agree, Mark? Do you agree with that statement?
Of course. Everyone is welcome on. I have no, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's all
it's
I
Been
wanted
fun.
to
a fun
say.
morning. This has been nice.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Like I said,
I'm with Jen on that. That's awesome, Jen. Because us being a military family, even like my husband having to leave now for an assignment for for 3 years alone by himself. I think our kids do understand sacrifice, and I definitely like my 14-year-old son because he's older or whatever, and kind of relates more to dad. Our two oldest were girls, and well then our one daughter, she just joined the army her own self, and she, I mean I think week 3 or 4 into basic training, my husband and I both got a letter like a day apart and was like, I am so sorry. I never knew how much you and dad sacrificed to give us the life that we had through the military and then buying houses, right? So that's spot on, Jen, like making your kids apart to understand, hey, this is how we're able to do whatever. Dad's taking an assignment away for 3 years to keep paying for y'all's tuition. Right? So because dad could retire now, but he's doesn't want to. We want to be comfortable, and we've still got tuition for a few more years. So
all right. Anything else you guys want? It can be anything. Anything you want to share to the community or
I
anything
wanted to
touch on?
ask
Yeah.
Katie, like, how can we help you get a little bit more in the mindset of like an investor, like as a part of the community? Now you're part of the community, so what would be our steps? Like, have more meetings, maybe
You
talk
know,
more.
I just kind of feel like I'm the side piece on it. You know what I mean? I'm not really involved because even though it's our money, it's Rusty's paycheck. You know what I mean? So ultimately my mindset is like, this is not mine. This is his. He's building, and I'm just kind of here because I don't really have the final say on this. So it's hard for me when I don't contribute financially to figure out where I contribute. I don't know if that's my brain is wrong on that, or if that's just how my mindset works, but that's how I feel. And that's one of those hard things where I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going in and what's going out, and I don't know how to answer your question because of where my mindset is regarding finances and things. Like, I feel like if I contributed financially, then it would be different, because I could say, okay, this is where I would put money,
Okay.
where I would invest.
So, Lindsay, that was a really good question. Katie, well, I don't want to just tell you what to do, but but I think it really would be helpful for you to have someone, either whether we talk every week on school or whatever, to really write down for you, or literally I will text you every Monday morning or whatever day you need me to. I
Mm-hmm.
will text you a list to understand, for you to understand your value, like literally, because the cost of having someone be at home to care for things, like even for me, I don't like to cook. I'm not cooking, and I accepted that about myself a long time ago, but it took another woman to tell me that, she works and makes money, and I bring a hefty income into the household, but I don't want to cook. I don't like to cook. I like to play outside and climb trees, right? So our
Right.
food comes from Costco, those ready-made meals from Costco, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even still, then when I pay someone from Instacart to go pick up groceries for us, there's a fee for that. There's a substantial fee for that. And I think maybe you don't understand your value of being at home. Did you used to work outside of the home? Or you said you did, or?
Yeah, prior to I didn't become a stay-at-home mom until I had my first son. So yes, I did work outside and I worked anywhere from like 2 to 3 jobs at a time. Like, so I worked a lot when I was younger.
You said, and your youngest son is 17, you said now?
Yeah,
That's the youngest?
and my oldest is
Okay.
22. So I've been home for almost for 22 years. So, which
Okay.
is,
So maybe you're
yeah.
getting, yeah, I think you definitely. So my husband always explains to me a cost savings. So what
Mm-hmm.
we're not spending, like for example, I'm headed right now to go pick up our kids from school, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I had them pay an Uber to go get them and bring them home, there's a cost to that, right? And
Right.
so, but I'm doing it because it's my time. It's way more than what just the gas is for me to drive there and back in my truck.
Right.
So I think, Lindsay, I think you're onto something with that. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I think Lindsay's really, really on it. I think she might see some of the things even I'm seeing, but I can't really articulate very well without me being a little rough.
Yeah, and I'm struggling with my art to articulate everything as well, where I'm feeling like my pieces and how to answer your question, how I can get to more of that investor mindset. And it's because I just feel like not as heavily involved and don't really. And the Rusty and I've had those conversations where I'm like, I don't really know, you're so far ahead of me because you've been doing all of this. I don't know how to catch up. So going to Vegas was good. Starting to be a part of this with Mark and everybody on the every week has been really good for me too, because I'm starting to get, my mindset is slowly changing. So, but I think it's going to take some work for me to get there. And maybe in a year it'll be all different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to
Okay.
me that what you're saying is Rusty's never made you feel like that. Like this is
No.
not just for him or it's for both of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we think, it's in directly correlation to the way that we feel. So if the thoughts that are
Yep.
coming up are like, oh, I don't feel like it's my house because it's not my money because I didn't
Mhm.
earn the paycheck that went into the house,
Yeah.
right? And you're now feeling like, well, I feel like that's not something that I belong to. And then you react by like, well, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to see the numbers. I don't want to be involved. So a way to change the way that you feel is either to change your behavior, which is like what you did when you went to the conference. So step number one. But another way would be to challenge those thoughts that you're having, because the thoughts that you're having right now, it's like saying that you're not part of the family. Like you don't belong in a way. So I would definitely try to restructure that a little bit more, because you are a major contributor to the family. You're like the breathing of the family. Both what Rusty's doing for both of you, he's never made you feel like that's not the case.
Right.
So that's
Well,
where I would want to
you're right.
work on.
That is kind of like a punch in the gut right there, feeling like saying it, phrasing it that way. So I definitely know I have to work on where I'm going with everything. So like I said, I didn't know I was going to be a part of this conversation. Rusty volunteered me and here I am.
Oh,
So,
I'm glad you came, though.
oh, thank
I
you.
want to just
yeah,
clear my
me too.
name
I
real
really
fast.
am too.
I want to clear my name. Jen is trying to blame. No, Jen is trying to blame me for kicking her off the live, but she jumped off because she has a meeting. But I want to. I did not kick her out of the live. She has a meeting to go to anyway, so she jumped off. But yeah, I mean, this was great. I mean, this was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people had a lot of things to say, and you guys are all doing amazing things. And like I said, I mean, if there's any, I mean, I'm free, so it's up to you folks. If you have other things you want to talk about, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be real estate, finance. I mean, anything you guys want to talk about. So you guys, up to you folks.
I can always talk, but I don't need to.
I
So
will keep my
I'm good.
comments on that. Oh, Jen wanted me to remind everyone meet up on Sunday. Everyone come
Yes.
if you're in NorCal. And if people haven't heard, I am flying out Monday to North Carolina, so I'll be there for a few weeks. So I'm gonna possibly try to see if I can put something together on a short notice to have a meetup out there, or somewhere Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, maybe towards Winston Salem. Might try to figure something out.
All right.
But yeah, okay. Well, thank you, folks, for doing this. I guess we have to get you folks back on, unless Lindsay wants to do one on her channel, and I don't have to be involved. It can be a full Ladies of ORaaT one, so that could be
I'm
something.
gonna have to figure out how to do this restream that you're using.
Well, I mean, you don't have. You
Uh,
can do straight. You can do Zoom if you just want to do it off of Zoom. But I like
I don't even
Restream
know how to do
because
that either. So
well, I mean, actually, Restream is easier than Zoom, but Restream I like is because I can stream on multiple platforms, and then like you can join your channel and things like that too, right? So, all
oh,
right. Well,
thank you for
everyone,
hosting us.
have a great weekend. I have a last minute live coming up too tomorrow at noon Eastern. Ray will be on, and if you folks, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but Jennifer Stewart will be on. She was on like Lumberjacks Live a few weeks ago. I interviewed her, but she does a lot of wholesaling, virtual assistants type stuff. So she reached out and she wanted to be on the live, and I know she's not going to bring a filter, so it'll be a lot of fun, I'm sure. So yeah, tune in tomorrow, and thanks everyone for tuning in. All right, have a great
all
weekend,
right.
everyone.
Bye, guys. And then Lindsay,